Well, speaking of reality check, there is a reality series that is on YouTube right now that blowing me away. I've been watching some of the other shows in the franchise, the Chasing Reality franchise, and today we have a very special guest that's going to join us. He is a journalist. He's an author. He has been a radio show host. He's been in plays. And right now he is serving as the executive producer of Chasing LA. He's a former cast member of Chasing Atlanta. We would love to welcome onto the Darren Green Show, Quentin Harris.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I love that introduction.
Hey, you're welcome.
Hey.
Welcome, Q. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Now, I know that you're from North Carolina, but where are you stationed now? Are you still in Atlanta? Or are you in LA right now?
I'm currently in California, yes.
In California, in the sun.
In the sun.
Okay.
He's looking nice over there.
I'm currently missing today. It's just a nice day out there. So as soon as I get this, I'm put on my little Daisy Dukes and go outside.
Oh, right, because I got mine. Yes. Sun's out, buns out. Listen, I totally support it.
What's happening, guys? Thank you guys for having me.
You're very welcome. So I just told you over the past couple of weeks about getting you on the show. Last week I had to go in a little bit like, wait a minute. I did. You can go back and watch it. I said what I said. I was like, no, wait a minute. Now we done set this interview up, and we got all excited. We ready to get the tea, and life happens, and I appreciate you for reaching back out to us and agreeing to come on today. So for our viewers and our listeners out there in Spotify land, Pandora, and all that good stuff, we want them to get an opportunity to know who you are. So just give us a little background and let the people know who you are.
Well, first of all, Darren and Prince, I want to apologize for not being here last week. But thank you guys for inviting me back in your domain this week. So I appreciate that. But just a little bit about myself. I am a content creator from a very, very, very small town. I took my talents, like I said, on LA. I took my talents to the big city of Atlanta. And that's where people knew me. But I've always been working in this industry for a minute now. People, when I started my radio show, is when I got Q in the streets and stuff like that. But I've been in the industry for a minute now.
Yeah. So wait, how long? So he says in a minute. What did you do first? I know you have a lot of different titles, and I was looking over your bio, and I know you've written 2 books. You've been in 2 plays. I mean, you've worked with Tyler Perry, Demetrius Smith. So what was the first thing that kind of put you into the entertainment arena? Like, what was your?
That is the hardest question to answer every time I get it. So I would have to always give, like, I was that kid who was like screaming out "Happy Easter" at like the church program as like the little kid. So I would say I got my start there. I didn't really like take any acting classes. I didn't take any journalism classes when I got to Atlanta. I was that person I like to network. That's why you always hear me say that word on Chasing Atlanta. I kind of started just going out and put my name out there, and that's how I got Q in the streets. But I guess what was my first gig? That question is so hard, is because like you said, I wrote books prior to Q in the streets. I did a lot of things prior to me moving to Atlanta. I got stage plays, like you just said. So that's why I've been in it for a minute prior to people actually knowing who I was. So I've been putting that groundwork in for years. But when I got to Atlanta, and of course got on Chasing Atlanta, is when like the world knew.
Now, I did want to circle back to you doing radio, because I'm a big fan of radio. I love.
I see this mic is set up here.
So what was that like? Like, how did you get into it?
Oh wow! So how I got into my I sit up and I talk about my radio. So I love my radio. So I miss radio. I'm like you, Darren. I love radio. I love running my mouth. I was not a problematic kid. I got in trouble for talking. All of my write-ups in school was either talking or singing.
Same.
Right. So how I got introduced to the world of radio was I was going to different events in Atlanta, and one particular night I was sick, not feeling well, and I was at this red carpet. I went with my homegirl. I'll never forget it. I was working, and I went to an event, and Jermaine Dupri was there, and his correspondent had fell through at the time, and so he walked up to me. Now I'm got on like my toboggan, a scarf, a big coat, and I'm at this like industry event. And so for him to walk into me, I don't know who told him like, oh well, you know, Q's wanting to do that or whatever. So he walks into me, he's like, hey, somebody told me you're a radio personality. Would you like to do this event? And at the time, that's when Jermaine Dupri had the show where he's like working with little kids.
With the rappers, with Mulatto
with the
and
rapper. So Mulatto
the game, yeah,
was my first interview. I still have the pictures, I still have the videos, I still have everything from that night. Mulatto was my very, 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 very first like public interview. And once I did that interview, Jermaine Dupri afterwards was like, yo, you're really good. I think you're dope. You need to find somebody. You need to like dig in radio. Cynthia Bailey had just told me the previous things. I took one of her classes like a month prior to. So when Jermaine Dupri walked up to me and told me that, I think a week later, I was sending out casting calls for Q in the Streets. And I had like 50 people come out, and I chose 4 other co-hosts. And from that point, I just kept going. I just took that formula and I kept working. I kept going back to those same events. And any celebrity or whoever I saw, I was getting the information, contact, and I was like, hey, let's work. Let me interview you. Let's talk about what you got going on. And it wasn't just celebrities. I was reaching out to just what you guys did. I was reaching out to people like me. That's how I even got on Chasing. I'll start on that in just a second with Lauren. I was reaching out to other people. I was networking across the board. So I was interviewing independent artists. I was interviewing everybody. So, and then I did it for like 4 years.
Right. So see now, I'm glad that you segued and you mentioned that working in radio kind of led you into the network or into the circle with people, part of your power of 3 with Miss Lauren England.
Yes.
So what was that like for you going from just, you know, the kid just trying to gig and network and going and agreeing to participate on Chasing Atlanta? You were on, I think, the first 2 seasons and you took a break and you came back for the 4th season, correct?
No, I've been on since I did season 2, season 3, and season 4.
Okay, so you did have 3 seasons, but you came on season 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I came on.
So what was that like for you transitioning from an on-air personality into a reality star? Because I know that people say walking into reality TV is a totally different animal.
I'm gonna be honest, like it still is like a shocker to me, more because I just think of myself like a regular guy. And so even when I do reality TV, people can see me out in public and it's still shocking to me. So even me sitting here talking to y'all, like, this is my life. Like, I just work hard every day and I just don't get caught up in what some others get caught up in. So for me, I'm just a regular guy, so I don't even look at it like that.
Do you think that it's harder, because now that you're no longer with the cast for Chasing Atlanta for now, you have moved since the reunion? Because I've literally been.
Look, who your favorite, and not me just because I'm here.
Is that what?
Who your favorite, not me just because I'm here.
Oh no, my favorite cast member. My favorite, God. So I know who I don't like. I'll say that. But like I know which cast members that left really bad.
Mess with?
Well, not about mess. I don't mess with a lot of people. I love people, but I don't look forward to like messing with everybody because I know how my personality is. But there were just some people that kind of like left a bad taste in my mouth the way that they moved on camera, like how you move. But I love Oliver. He is funny to me. I fell in love with Lauren's story. Even watching from season 1, all in that hotel party. At first, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go in the housewarming. I'm just like,
oh, Lord. You a real fan? You went way back.
Oh yes. I'm like,
no, he talked about it a lot.
Yeah, I've been telling people like, y'all gotta watch Chasing Atlanta. Like, you gotta watch. I haven't seen it. You gotta get into these not say characters, but like get into these people who are really out. Some who are really trying to chase their dreams. I used to live in Atlanta. Like me, my first time actually being part of a choir or recording demos was when I lived in Atlanta, so I felt connected to their stories and just watching them do it. It felt good. But you, of course, Dominique, kind of, sort of love Tag. Yeah, but you'll have a lot of different characters and they have different personalities, and so you just have to see how the mix goes. So with that being said, with you being a part of the show for so long and bringing in new members and seeing how that particular part goes, what was the most challenging for you as far as maintaining that sense of like, this is I got to be me, but I also know that this is a show and I got to play up to camera. Were there any moments where you felt that you had to play up certain situations for the entertainment value of the show?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so I'm going to answer honestly. For me, no, I've never really like, oh, the cameras are rolling, I'm about to turn it up. Like, no. I think if I was to have a moment that was not my best moment, or a moment where I feel like, okay, now when we get there today, all bets are off. Y'all gonna see another side of Q, would have to be my previous season, season 4, the all-white party.
Right.
So I think that would be a moment that I knew that I went in with like
intention.
Yeah, right. But I didn't like necessarily go in like, oh, the camera's just rolling, I'm gonna turn up today. Like, no.
Okay. So now that we've transitioned from being a cast member, why did you want to leave Atlanta to go to LA? Like, what
made me want to leave? Ooh, okay, so that's good. So what made me want to leave Atlanta was I felt like, and this is no shade because people work really hard in Atlanta, but I felt like I wanted more. And I felt like when you're in Atlanta, you become this rat on the same wheel with everybody else. Like, it's this rat race, and nobody's going nowhere.
Right.
And it's no shame. It's kind of like, how do I elevate myself? How do I compete with the Emiles, the Karama Browns, the Justins that's on he's on E! News. And for me, and Darren, this for our type of work, in Atlanta, everybody do it. So I wanted to, one, put myself in a position with the people who I know are bigger than me, DJ Richie Scott, those bigger names that are out in Atlanta. I wanted to see if I could compete. Now, when I got out here, when I got to California, and I just want to take a break. Like, I was working in Atlanta for 3 or 4 years, hard, back to back to back. I was nonstop filming the show. I was queuing the streets. I never had a break, even when it was just me. So I just wanted to just release. I went through some personal things that weren't the best. So I just wanted to come out and take a break. However, moving out here, the pandemic hit. So I was like, I can't compete with nobody, and the pandemic hit. So I had to get my wheels turning because I don't like walking around with no money in my pocket. So
now you're not out there doing part-time gigs at Hamburger Mary's, are you?
and if I did, because I was doing that, and if I did, we're gonna talk about the show in just a minute. But
right.
So that's what brought me out here to Cali. But like I said, the pandemic hit, and I had to think quick, and I had to think fast. There was really no competing. Nobody was working. So that's what made me create Chasing LA.
So how did you go about piecing this show together? Like, did you have to pitch it to Dario and like, hey, I'm moving, and I think we can go and find some people? Like, had you already started like trying to like build your cast before you moved, or was it something that you do?
These are good questions.
Listen, I'll do this too. Like, listen. Look, I mean,
do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. There was a cast prior to this cast that we had.
There was a cast. There was a cast already. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. I'd heard something about that. Outside of the fact that Chasing LA, the name of the show, there was also a show that was already out from 2012 to like 2015. That was with Emil. What's his name?
Emile. Yeah, I just said it. Emile.
Right. Yeah, and he had, he was doing like interviews and like bringing on like.
But I think he was different. I think it's just the same name, and he didn't. And this is no shade because I actually look up to Emile. Child, he didn't.
Oh, see, for all my baby dolls out there listening and there, please make sure you patent and copyright your content, please, because baby,
I was like, it's not copyright.
Beyonce will be upon us. I like that, and I want it. I want that. Mm-hmm. So with the cast, so how did you go about? Did you have like casting calls? Did you do like meetups, like networking parties, and kind of like, okay, this person dealt with this person, or did you do references like, hey, I have somebody that I work with who is in wardrobe, and I think they'd be good for the project you're working on? Like, what was your creative process, in putting this particular group of people together?
So before I get to this group, I'm gonna start with the first group. So with the first group, how I got everybody together was, of course, I was new here, but of course, I work in the industry. I know a couple of people. So I was pulling on a few different strings, like, hey, who do you think would be good for this particular project? I reached out to my publicist friend, Aaron Dukes, who works with freaking everybody. You name him, he like runs Fashion Nova, he knows everybody. So anyways, we started piecing together some different people, and it just wasn't meshing well. And I started realizing I didn't want to be in front of the camera. So I took a step back, because I'm just like, I feel myself getting ready to go back into the opinions of people coming out here to Cali. I didn't want to come out here and focus on that.
Right.
That's why I left
you
the show.
Being the new boy in town and like having to deal with
exactly.
that.
So and then just to piggyback off that as well. So how I came out with pitching it to Dario. So Dario made me finish my Atlanta contract before we could even get started on LA. So he was like, you need to do the reunion. You need to do everything before I would even hear any type of conversation. But he actually allowed me to start doing things prior to, because I felt like he could trust me. He could trust the business man in me. And so the first cast, I took a step back because I realized I don't really want to do this. So I took brung in new producers, and then we put up a casting call. And I was like, I don't want to go fishing for people. If you want to be on the show, you're going to have to come audition for it. And that's how it happened.
Okay. So what was the transition like from being a cast member to now being the producer of the show? What is that?
I'm still trying to transition from talent to producer. People are still expecting me to be on Chasing LA this season. If you see me on Chasing LA, child, I'm outside of my first scene with the Power 3. I'm breaking up fights and jumping in and sliding people out and doing all that type of stuff. So as far as the transition, it's been fun because it's still family. I'm still working with Dario. I'm still working with the Chasing team. It's just on the other side of the camera, but being a producer of a radio show, it's kind of the same thing. Instead of just listening to it, you actually watching it on the TV. So I've been here before. It's just a new realm.
It's like becoming a manager after being talent. You're like, you know what? I'm done it. Bring on the new girls now. All right, so we're only 3 episodes in for this season, for the first season of Chasing LA, and there's already been 2 fights and a makeup. So it's off to a very exciting and/or rocky start. And I love the fact that you all do the premieres now on YouTube, where people can literally sitting and waiting until 8 o'clock here on the East Coast Sports Card, and just looking at the comments and watching people engage with the show. For this to be your first time as a producer of a reality TV show, the comments probably hit a little differently than it does when you're being critiqued as a talent. Speaking of critiques, one of the fairy godmother now of, I guess, Chasing Reality franchise, Money from That, her first appearance in the second episode, critiquing the first episode, was relatively harsh and personally critical of you. Now, we got to update this last episode about y'all were spoken, but from your side, how did you feel about the critiques, not just of her, but of other people who are talking about the production value? I thought that it was on par and like on brand, like with the rest of the series. But for some reason, because it was you producing it, I guess the expectation was that it was going to be, I don't know, like a Lifetime production, or I don't know. Right, like, but what? How did the comments?
I'm about to pull these Bravo producers out my ass.
Yeah, like how was you doing this time? But how did you take the comments? How did you take the feedback?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Well, first of all, I have not been indulging in the comments as much. Being talent, I've learned to stay out that comment section if you want to go to sleep.
Right.
For me. For me. So I have not seen all the comments for episode 2. I've been gazing. Of course, my ears are open to the street. I'll say this before I go that route. I'm very proud of the work that I put out, because I put a lot of hard work, dedication, and time into this project. I'm proud of my talent. I'm proud of my team, my cast, my crew. I'm proud of everybody that's involved in this project. when it comes down to the critique from Imani Van Zant. I have always respected Imani, and I still do. I respect Eric, who is under Imani. I do think I have to agree with Darren, though. He was talking about Jocelyn, and I was listening to the Wendy Williams story that you guys had earlier. Just how, just a little friction and stuff like that. I'm just like, what is happening? So that was my reaction when I was watching it for the first time. I felt like Wendy. I was looking at, I called Darren, like, what is happening? So I said all that to say, it's harsh, but I do want to bring clarity to a few things. Now I'm going to talk about it more in my YouTube channel, and we're going to go there. But I would like to say, I felt like her comments or her critique was a little off for me, because Imani Van Zant is a associate producer of Chasing LA.
Oh, okay.
So it's very mind-blowing to me, and it's very disheartening. It's very, in my opinion, distasteful in what happened. Is because I felt like, and I'm going to talk about me in a second.
Yeah.
It was disrespectful to my cast because they never met you. They're meeting you, and yeah, they understand your role, but for you to call King Pang a washed-up Armand Wiggins, we're going to talk about it on my YouTube channel, but you were in the production meetings to say, hey, I like this particular guy. He's around energy of Armand Wiggins, so he's either going to bring that energy or he's either going to bring Armand on the show. King Payne did both.
Yeah.
King Payne did both and still got tore down. So it's just a little mind-boggling to me that you find time to say, oh, I don't know what any of them do, and if I'm going to tear this show down every week, then I have the right to do that. That's what she said this week. And then last week is, oh, I'm not a good producer. I'm not this, I'm not that. But oh, you don't know any of the cast members. You helped me choose all 10 cast members. Because you guys originally, y'all heard me say, there was a first cast. I took a step back, brought in a whole new team of producers. Okay? And I'm gonna iron this thing out real good in my YouTube video.
And we'll be watching that too.
What I don't like is, if things were amazing, which they're going to get to, and I understand we had a few hiccups episode 1, but let's not act like the show was just that horrible or I'm a horrible producer.
Right.
This is a horrible show.
Right.
Because that's not fair to me. It's not fair to the talent. It's not fair to our viewers. Imani Van Zant's position is to, yes, be honest, but I feel like we are a growing brand. And just how y'all said earlier, you will feel more comfortable in the room with that other Black creator. So it's no longer a safe place for me. Chasing Reality is, in my opinion, I love my platform. It did some great things for me, but it's not a safe place. You know, we put ourselves here to be ripped apart by the public. So you would think going to your mother, your father, your auntie, it'll be, still mean what you say, but iron it out a little bit differently. And I would think with you having your name attached to something, you can say how you feel, but there's a way that you do it.
Right.
Yeah, and I would
definitely. And I just don't feel like, in my opinion, that was us seeing her in her best life. So she felt like I wasn't the best producer.
Right.
You were an associate producer with me.
Right. So I would say,
tell the world any of that.
Last week, I think I mentioned like we were going to get into the critiques, and we have other things we're going to talk about as far as the show too. We don't want to speak on this topic too long. But because she came out of the gate, honestly, I'm on Instagram and I love watching other social media personalities and things like that. But I don't think anyone really, because I think she's a co-host on another show of another friend of mine in Atlanta, on Hey Mikey's show, and so I think I recognized her from there, but I don't really, I thought it was like a caricature of Ayanla Van Zant. So I'm just thinking, oh, this is like a parody account or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I didn't have a chance to really see her until she started doing reviews and started doing interviews with the cast in Atlanta, and positioned herself as like the Ayanla of the group. And I was like, okay, well, now that she's actually going to be a featured part of the series, like the last season, you actually see her that little 2 minutes and her giving her piece of the last episode. Compared to how she was with y'all's cast, like she kind of she kind of assumed the role of like mother hen and like kind of. I felt like for your very first episode, for her to come out with such a negative kind of like
right.
You know, like now later down the line, if you know if the sound, if the like that's gonna be one of the things like the sound. Like
you won't get no complaints.
You know what I mean? Like all the way. You know, like that. Right. We get it. That's just how it works. You know, plug and play, all dealing with all those kind of things. But instead of focusing on the cast members and the storylines, and this is our first time meeting these people, and they're already arguing within the first 45 seconds. You know, like that kind of critique. It was very heavy on you, and as a viewer. It made me uncomfortable. I was literally watching my boyfriend. We was like,
I was like, what happened? Like,
right? What did he do? Like, did you turn him down for a date? You stand him up? Like, what happened?
You did say that last episode.
You owe Miss Van Zapp some coin. You owe her some money. What did you do to her?
No, I don't owe Van Zapp no coin. Child, at the end of the day, Van Zapp is getting 2 separate checks from Q right now.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, it just struck a chord. Right. It just struck a chord. It just came off kind of. It's getting weird. And they're like, it's kind of weird now, guys. Do you feel that she's preparing, kind of setting the stage for her own, like a larger thing for her, like her own, like larger show? Or
so you feel that Imani was coming for me to prepare herself for her own show? Or her own something of her own?
Her own something else. I'm sure that she's going to host a reunion. And then after that, is there going to...
well, all right. Well, never mind.
Okay, maybe not. That's fine. I'm available if she's not. But the point is... But no, what I'm saying is like, it just seemed very theatrical. I couldn't tell if it was targeted like she really felt that way, or if this was something that was supposed to add like theatrical, entertainment value to the viewing experience of your show. And we're gonna
tear my name down in the midst of that.
Yeah. It was really weird. I didn't understand it, so I was hoping that you'd be able to give us a little more clarity on it. But now that you've expressed to us that she's also an associate producer, and that means if the production's bad, then she's part of that.
You're a part of it. But my whole thing is, when you brought up our whole conversation about the Jocelyn and Wendy, I think the difference is because she is involved in this show, and she's almost like y'all are teammates, like not teammates, but like y'all work together.
Same team, yeah.
So it's a difference with the Wendy Williams and the Jocelyn thing. But yeah, like I did not understand what she was talking about with the whole production. I think the production looks great. This is my first franchise of this channel. He got Derek got me watching it. I'm like, yes, and I love it. I cannot wait every Thursday. Like I'm like, oh my god, like
yes,
I love it.
Yes. Must see TV now. So with these people, now that we're gonna move off the Q show, and we're gonna move into these characters.
Yeah. And I did want to say something really quick because Imani Van Zapp said in her review last night that she spoke to me, and I wanted to let you guys know what she talked about because I'm going to talk about it in my review. I had planned on talking about none of this, but since we're talking, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So I did get a phone call from Imani the other day, and her critique to me were she didn't feel like she felt like it was too much star power in the first episode. She felt like the Power 3 wasn't needed or Mr. Ray. And I was just like, but how do you take the baton and pass it over?
You knew what you were doing. You did it right. They do it on Atlanta. They do it on Married to Medicine.
Married to Medicine. Giselle and Robin did it last night on Married to Medicine.
Right.
Or no, it's coming up this week because I saw the promo for it this morning. Yeah. So I said that to say she called me the other day and she said it was too much star power, and I'm just like, everybody else enjoyed it. Everybody else loved to see the Power 3 together. So I'm just confused about what you're talking about. You're talking about your personal preference. You said you didn't like the still shot opener versus moving. Those are your personal preferences, but don't critique the show based off that. We had new confessionals last night.
Right.
Am I going to get critique for that? Or are you going to allow me to be a creator and create and bring something different to the table than what we've seen before. Why do I have to do what Atlanta did? Why do I have to do what Dallas did?
Right.
Anyway, moving on,
and also to that point, those are things that she could have, outside of the still pictures, but the star power and things like that. That's something that could have been said during the critique, as opposed to literally like destroying.
What was the problem? What was the problem with it?
About so I guess she just felt like we saw too much of you in the first episode. If you were going to be a producer,
I was in there for 5 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah, it was like one scene, right? Yeah.
Right, like So, but it was a great beginning. Even though it was chaotic, even though it was very chaotic, I think it's part of the entertainment value of reality TV.
Yeah.
Now, also as an LGBTQ creator, now I said earlier we're only 3 episodes in. There have been 2 fights already. We've had a makeup, when they did the walk between the girls. But how prepared are you? I know you've probably seen the other episodes. Is this going to be another, another queer reality show where everybody fights all season, and even we wait all the way to the reunion and people not get resolved? Or is this going to be an opportunity for us to kind of see how queer people work together or work through their problems in a way that that brings real healing without having to wait for Imani Van Zant, like for them to be able to communicate better? I love the scene between Jayla and Alicia.
Can I ask something right here? I think people have to be in a space of wanting that with another person. They don't need an Imani Van Zant. They don't need me. I read a Twitter comment this morning was just like, Q should have stepped in. That person has to want to resolve stuff with the other person. My job is to make sure everybody's safe and to make sure that things run smoothly and to make sure that talent is in place, production is in place. What those 2 talents go through is what they go through, and we just have to watch the story play out. We would love for everybody to kumbaya and all LGBT plus creators can get in one room and work together. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
It's not that it can't happen. It's just that this is what happens when you do put 10 big TV personalities at one table at one time, and this is what happens. So I will say that we're not like any other reality show, but what I can say is you guys will fall in love with the characters just like you did Chasing Atlanta. I just made a mistake in the last year. We're gonna make mistakes till we're 50, so it's never gonna be perfect. Name me one LGBT plus show that's out there that's perfect. Can we name an LGBT show? Period. I mean, we have Pose, but that's what I'm saying. Like when we try to create, we turn down everything.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. That was good.
That is true.
Right. Okay. So
I could have came to Cali and laid in the bed. I could have been chilling.
Right. Well, we appreciate the work that you're doing, and because you also create an opportunity for these cast members to elevate their platforms and giving them more exposure to people who may have never heard of them. Some of the people that are on the cast I've heard of, I follow, like B. Hawkins, like we know and love him and his work. You have other controversial people on there that that are there. I don't know what they do, but they're there, and I'm guessing their personality is what's going to carry them throughout the show. And speaking to that point, like I was very curious about how you chose to put this group together, because I'm already seeing that it's going to be very cliquish. You only have like maybe 2 people who are trying to remain neutral and trying to like figure everybody. I love Hershey LaCour, like trying to just figure everybody out and just like keeping game. He reminds me of like how you and Oliver were with like the new people. Like, I don't know none of these people. And if they come for me,
Right.
I'm being nice to everybody until you show
I actually knew him from TikTok. Like I followed him on TikTok for the longest.
Yeah, very popular on TikTok. Very popular on TikTok.
And then when I found out he was going to be on the show, I was like, oh my God, like this is really amazing. I would love to have him on the show, but
let me finish my question.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the clicks, right? So, with that being said, like we can already tell that people are forming their groups, right? People are forming their safe spaces and they're finding their kiki buddies.
Yeah.
Which three do you see as being the power of three for LA?
Child. They already trying to do that. They have been trying to formulate a power of three for LA for the longest time, and it keep being four of them, so I keep laughing. But who do I see being a power of three? I don't know.
They can be Chasen's child if it's four of them.
Chasen, right? Yeah. I wouldn't really compare them to us because we're not them. You know what I'm saying? But if
you know what I mean as far as like influencing on the cast and like that.
I know that, but each group is has very talented people. They're all talented. Let me start there. But each cliquish or each clique has some very talented individuals on both sides.
Right. It just seems like you have a lot of conflicting hives happening. Like when I say hive, it's like so the power of three. Watching y'all together, it's like okay, well, you have the three queen bees together operating in the group of everybody else. You know what I mean? It's like when y'all are like this, and it's everybody else. So
right. So I think the difference between them is
they have a queen bee and two or three people circling. Then another queen bee, and then two.
It's like everybody, the queen and king, right?
Right, and then those people don't like each other. The queen bees are like, you know. And speaking of that, like the Andres and the King Paynes.
Yes. Oh my God.
So tell me, is there a makeup on the horizon with them too? I feel like I'm gonna get tired of them beefing real quick.
I don't think you're gonna get tired of it though. It goes
for a long level. It goes to another level. Like a Melly B from
like which one?
Like what Melly B? What's the name of that show? The Circle of New York. Kind of like he's like a Melly B style character where it's like it's gonna be a continuing thing.
I don't know, but it's funny you say his name. I just ran to him the other day, but it's not. Yeah,
because that's what he gave me. Like when I saw him,
I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Andre King.
Like he gives the Melly B vibe. Like he comes off very, very. I'm sure he's a nice person.
Is this Andre you're talking about?
We're talking about Andre.
Okay.
I'm Melly too, but I'm sure he's a great person, but the presentation just comes off as very obnoxious. Right? It's like an obnoxious presence. And he can be very talented. He could be and can back up everything he says, I'm sure. But because of that particular presence or that character that he's presenting, it just seems like he's going to be, I won't say a target, but like he's going to always create situations wherever he is. Like if he's there, it's going to be a thing. You know what I mean? Kind of like T-Pain, it's going to be a thing. You know, if he's there, it's going to be a thing. So we'll move on to him. I just know if there's going to be, you know, some of the queen bees, if they're ever going to be able to like come together and like.
Well, they do have some talking moments, and they do try. I'll say that. Andre and King, both two talented individuals. I think they're like me. You have to grow to love them. It's like if you don't know them, you probably think something from afar. Or they're probably like, I don't know. But I feel like they are the type of individuals that you have to get to know. And they're very raw. We've seen raw characters. We've seen T.S.O. Kendra. We've seen Lauren England. We've seen Trey Howard on our platform. These are Dominique. These are some more of our characters. Right. So you may not like agree with them, but you love them. It's like you love Lauren. You love T.S.O. Kendra. You love Dominique. Like, well, I can't say you, but the viewers, the show, you know what I'm saying? And like when it's great to watch. So I said that to say Andre and King, they both have really big personalities. I will say this though about Andre. Andre was in the original cast with me.
Oh, good. He's the only one that was left from that circle, from that group?
Yeah. I got rid of everybody.
You got rid of everybody. So maybe he's occupying your space. That's why he feels like he's the Nene. I'm the foundation of this house. All you bitches just here, okay?
Child.
So that's cute. That's real cute. So like I said, we're very excited about this season. We look forward to some really good things. I also wanted to pick your brain. Like we're gonna wrap up here really, really quickly. I know you have work to do, and it's a pretty day outside, kind of sort of here too. I want to go outside in my booty shorts as well.
I'm about to dive into a YouTube video, and then I'm gonna go outside though. We got to clear up all this.
Right.
Y'all gonna see the same outfit in this chase review. I'm about to just click it over as soon as I get off.
All right.
The people only had one question left, really, honestly.
Yeah, I heard it here first.
Yeah. So does Alicia really work at Hamburger Mary's, or did we ever get to the end of that? These people work at Amazon. You work at Amazon. Ain't wrong with that.
Yeah,
Alicia for a living.
I think she does currently work there, but I mean, she's gigging there. I don't think it's like she's like in the back washing dishes or nothing. She's on the floor being a drag queen. That's what she does.
Right. We just don't want Lauren to come and be like, y'all just ain't got jobs. Like, what y'all do? Yeah, I think Alicia. She currently does work at Hamburger Mary's. I think she even posted in her Insta story last night. I'm not sure. But as a drag queen, I think that's like a big big platform. Like as a singer in Atlanta, that's like singing at I forgot that singing thing, but it's like everybody's there, so why not? I think Hamburger Mary's in LA is like the place to go. Your drag emporium.
Yeah, it's like the drag world, whatever. That's where you go to see it. But anyways, let me say this. And I don't have no favorites. I'm not taking nobody's sides or nothing. But I was
gonna ask you who your favorites were.
But that's the purpose of this platform, is so that we all can see the grind of me sitting here talking with no mic to me being up there with Darren with sound walls and a whole mic, and like it's great to see the transition. So I'll just leave that at that.
So yeah, we're gonna deal with that. She worked at Hamburger Mary, so we got that.
Yeah, it's great to see the transition, and it's great to see people working and doing both. That's not shown a lot on this show.
Yeah.
So
also now another point that I wanted to make. It's not, this one isn't as funny, but I had a critique from the first show, something that still stuck with me, that I'm still dealing with, kind of like a two-part thing, and it has to do with the character of Quan. I keep calling these people characters like you wrote them in. But with Quan, and after the blow up between Andre and King Payne, when he went to the restaurant, his confessional about them, like, y'all both ugly, y'all both dark, that comment, like that confessional, that one thing made me know for sure that I'm like, I don't like this person, and I'm not going to like them for the rest of the show, like, because I'm not a fair skinned man or whatever, and I was raised in the South, and like I dealt with like being called the dirt and like all those kind of things, and I was like, okay, his colorist remarks, are they going to be addressed? Because I was looking at the second episodes and watching the third one, and no one challenged him on that. They probably haven't. I don't know how y'all do y'all's confessionals, but I was also I'm looking in YouTube comments. I'm looking Instagram comments to see if there's going to be a moment of accountability for that, or we're going to see it throughout the show. And with you being a person who is also on the melanated side as the producer of the show, how did you feel about that comment, and why was it allowed in the show?
It was allowed in the show because we say it to each other all the time. We call each other black ass and all type of stuff like that. So it's not like we don't say it. So I'll start there. And I'll say this about Twan. Twan is a great person, and I know a lot of people have counseled him and whatever they call themselves doing, and that's fine. You are entitled to that. I think where Twan was coming from is, I think he was actually sitting in a seat where nobody else was sitting. He was sitting there watching King Payne and Andre go back and forth and 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 back, like all night. and them shoot insults at each other, talking about each other's clothes, talking about, well, you dark, and you dark, and you this, and you that, and you this. Y'all know how we get to do. They just started reading. And so I'm going to be honest that when the question was asked to Quan in his confessional, I don't think that he was thinking, because we're on platforms and you work, if you've been out here, sometimes you know how to watch your mouth and you know how to filter it a different way. I felt like he chose poor words to line up his sentence. But what I think he was trying to say was, why are you guys sitting here going back and forth about each other when neither one of y'all is better than the other? Y'all both are this. Y'all both are this. Y'all both are acting ugly. Y'all call each other dark. Y'all both dark. It is what it is. Y'all call each other dark.
Right. So that gives it a different context, because we didn't see that.
Yeah, we didn't see that part.
We didn't hear those words being said between the two of them. So for there to be a cut of him calling these two people dark and ugly, like it left a very, very, very sour taste in my mouth. And so by the time we got to episode 2 and 3, where now he's sharing his story about his battle with coke addiction and how he came out of that, and him moving into a space where he's launching this line of shirts with positive affirmations and like that. In my head, I'm still carrying this visual image of him calling these two people dark and ugly. Yeah, no, so maybe the truth of the editing, but that's what I'm saying. Like it, the way that it was portrayed, it made it seem as though he's going to have a reckoning or an accounting for that, and hopefully he may be able to say it the way you said it or give it more context. But it just seemed like very nasty. Even with the same, and I said the same thing about when Fran and Alicia were going back and forth, and he was like, "You're a man," and like that was very uncomfortable to watch.
But we do it though, and they be like, "Well, why is it in the show?" Because we do it.
Right. No, I get it.
We have to open up, and we have to, and it's cringy to watch, but it should be just as cringy when our friends do it in our living rooms.
And it is.
You know what I'm saying? If we gonna hold everybody accountable, and this is the purpose, and I feel like this is why Dario put it in there. Because I'll be honest, when the edited version, I was like, ooh. But at the same time, it opens the floor for conversation. And me being I'm not fair skinned, I'm dark skinned. I'm a dark skinned man from the South. I took no offense to what Quan said. I feel like sometimes people are just, this is my opinion, I feel like sometimes people are overly sensitive and sometimes look for the first thing to jump on the bandwagon with everybody else, instead of just, okay, well, let me give them a minute because we've all prejudged somebody prior to meeting them, prior to getting to know them better, prior or going off what somebody else said. And we're like, oh, girl, but so-and-so said something, I don't know, but I'm going to keep my eyes out. We've all done it. So just give Quan the fair check like we did everybody else. Troy yelled out transphobic stuff last season. They do it all up and down through Dallas. Sure. They do it all up and down through Atlanta. So I understand what people are saying, but at the same time, I have to stand up for Quan and say, I'm not standing up for him because he did say it. But what I will say
you understand that, well, because we do it, because of the platform that you all have now, like the reason I'm talking, because I do believe that, it does happen. I work in the community all the time, like vice president of a whole organization for LGBTQ persons, but the way we shape that type of conversation, right, and being stewards, because that's what happens when you step into this arena, especially when you're in the entertainment industry, and we already know how many opportunities are limited sometimes for openly queer people. How we're shaping the narrative, and just because it happens on Dallas, it happens in Atlanta, and especially in LA being a center for entertainment. The narrative that this particular show, your franchise, what not just outside of their stories, but what messaging do you hope to send as a producer of this show for other queer people that are watching it, that will make them take something away that's different from watching Chasing Atlanta, or different than watching other LGBTQ reality shows where it's always fighting, and it's the transphobic slurs, and it's the you ugly, and oh you broke, and oh you doing meth, and you like, and all of that. what else do you want people to take away from this show that we haven't gotten anywhere else?
I think what I want people to take away is just feeling inspired. And right now, I know it's a lot of drama, and it's a lot of, the heat is on right now. Yeah. We ain't feeling inspired, y'all. We grabbing popcorn, we entertain. But I think that when we watch comments like Quan, or when we see people act out of character or be a character, when we go into our own space, we say, "Oh, that's not how I want to be. That's not how I want to be portrayed. I know to watch my own mouth." So yet, and I still stand on what I said, it's cringy. But when we watch it, we know what not to do.
Okay.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Quentin, for joining us. Oh, Q, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like your mom. Thank you, Q, for joining us and taking some time to talk to us about your new venture. Tell everybody where they can find you, and if you have any other projects that we could be looking forward to. Do you have a third book in the works? You got any other, commercial? What's going on with you, and where can we find you?
You guys can follow me on all of my social media sites right now at Quentin T. Harris. Everywhere. I'm on YT, Vigo, Twitter, IG, Facebook. I'm everywhere. Quentin T. Harris. I'm not gonna say I don't have anything coming up, but right now all of my focus is in chasing LA. As you guys can see, I'm being held to the fire, so baby, I can't even look at nothing else right now. I need to make sure everything right from the end of this season. Because these people got on my damn nerves.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we love to see it, and we're proud of you. We're proud of the work that you are producing. Thank y'all
for giving me my flowers.
Right, we can't give you flowers. Okay, for the Black culture, for the culture. And make sure you guys tune in every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to Chasing LA, and you can find that on YouTube. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Darren, you got anything else you want to say before we rock?
No, I'm good. You done questioned me out. I was like, Lord, I'm like, look.
Oh yes, if you're gonna come and sit in the seat, we want to get all the tea. I want to squeeze all the tea off the leaves. That's what we want.
No, thank you so much for joining us. I know it was a lot trying to get you on last week, but we understand everything, and happy that you chose this show to. Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. All under the bridge.